Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're cracking open Business Secrets from the Bible by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. It's going to be a fascinating one.
I agree. It's not every day you think about finding business tips in ancient Jewish wisdom.
Right. But Rabbi Lapin presents some really intriguing ideas about success that I think are surprisingly relevant, even in today's world.
Absolutely. Like his concept of connection.
Yeah, the idea that the universe thrives on connection. What did you make of that?
Well, I thought his analogy of steel and concrete was spot on.
How so?
Well, each material is strong on its own, but when you combine them, you create something much stronger, right? Something greater than the sum of its parts.
Right.
And that's how it is with human connection, too.
I see. So it's like by embracing our own unique skills and talents and then connecting, collaborating, and exchanging with others.
Exactly. We tap into something much bigger, a kind of collective power that propels us all forward.
And that's where the real magic happens. And you know what else struck me as fascinating?
What's that? Rabbi Lapin mentions that there's actually no Hebrew word for winning money.
It's true. And it really highlights a fundamental difference in perspective.
It does, because it suggests that in the Jewish tradition, prosperity isn't about individual gain or coming out on top.
Right. It's not about acquiring wealth at someone else's expense. Instead, it's about creating value for others, for the community as a whole.
So rather than trying to grab the biggest slice of the pie, it's about finding ways to bake a bigger pie that everyone can benefit from.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial principle: investing in relationships.
Which Rabbi Lapin emphasizes throughout the book.
He does. And it makes sense when you think about it. We naturally cherish the things we invest time and effort into, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's a business partnership, a friendship, or even raising children, it's the investment itself that deepens the connection and makes it more meaningful.
Right. It's like that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly, because it's about building genuine connections based on mutual respect, trust, and a willingness to invest in each other's well-being.
And speaking of well-being, Rabbi Lapin tells this really fascinating story about Samson, the biblical strongman.
Oh, yes. His strength was directly tied to his spiritual discipline, wasn't it?
Exactly. But when he strayed from his values and compromised his integrity, his strength waned. It's like his physical power was directly linked to his moral compass.
And what a powerful metaphor for us, right? It's a good reminder that our inner strength, our resilience, is directly tied to our ability to stay true to ourselves, especially in the face of challenges and change.
And speaking of change, think about the Israelites escaping Egypt. Talk about a massive upheaval. They had to leave everything they knew behind and journey into the unknown. But within that challenging experience, they discovered incredible resilience and courage.
It's like they had to go through that process of letting go, of embracing the unknown, to tap into a deeper level of strength and faith.
And it makes me think that maybe instead of resisting change, we should try to view it as an opportunity for growth.
Chance to develop our own resilience and courage, just like the Israelites.
Exactly. It's like those times when you face a difficult situation and surprise yourself by how much stronger you become on the other side.
Exactly. It's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Right. But anyway, there was another point in the book I wanted to circle back to. That whole idea that generosity can actually be a key to feeling wealthy, not just something you do once you're already well off.
Yeah, it does seem a little counterintuitive.
It does. Our instinct is often to think, well, first I need to make X amount of money, then I can afford to be generous. But Rabbi Lapin suggests that it should actually be the other way around.
Interesting. So how does that work?
Well, he argues that practicing generosity, even in small ways, can help shift our mindset from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance.
So it's like by letting go of our tight grip on what we have and embracing that spirit of giving, we actually open ourselves up to receiving more.
Precisely. And it reminds me of a story. Did you want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, a while back, a friend of mine, let's call her Sarah, she was going through a tough time financially. And despite her own struggles, she decided to make a small donation to a charity that was close to her heart.
Wow, that's really inspiring.
I know. But here's the thing. Not long after making that donation, she received an unexpected financial windfall. It wasn't a huge amount or anything, but it was enough to get her through that difficult period and even put a little something aside.
No way. That's amazing.
It really is. It's like that act of giving, even though it seemed illogical at the time, somehow shifted something in the energy around her. It was like a boomerang of generosity.
Right. Almost like By demonstrating her own willingness to give, she opened herself up to receiving in ways she couldn't have imagined.
Exactly. And it speaks to that interconnectedness that Rabbi Lapin talks about. It's like we're all part of this intricate web, and when we give generously, it creates a ripple effect that eventually comes back to us.
And you know what else really struck me about this idea of generosity?
What's that?
It's not just about money, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's about approaching all areas of life with that same spirit of giving.
Right. Whether it's our time, our talents, our knowledge, or even just a listening ear, it all counts.
It does. Because true generosity isn't about keeping score or expecting something in return. It's about approaching the world with an open heart and a willingness to contribute to the well-being of others. And you know what?
What's that?
When we do that, when we prioritize giving and serving others, it's amazing how much abundance we invite into our own lives. It's like this beautiful paradox.
It's like what goes around comes around.
Precisely. And it creates this virtuous cycle of giving and receiving that benefits everyone involved. But speaking of shifting our perspective and challenging conventional wisdom, Rabbi Lapin makes this really interesting point about the Hebrew language. He says that if there's no Hebrew word for something, it suggests that it might not actually exist in the way we think it does.
And one of the examples he uses is the word right.
Right. Okay, I'm curious. How so?
Well, he basically says that anytime someone tells you you have a right to something, whether it's healthcare or education or anything really, you should be wary.
Interesting. Because it suggests a sense of entitlement.
Exactly. Like it's something you're owed without necessarily having to work for it. And Rabbi Lapin's point is that true fulfillment, true success, comes from earning those things we value through hard work, dedication, and a commitment to serving others.
So it's about taking responsibility for creating the life we want, not just expecting it to be handed to us.
And this actually leads to another one of those thought-provoking no Hebrew word for it moments.
Oh, do tell.
Retirement.
Retirement. Now that's interesting because it's such a deeply ingrained concept in our culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this finish line we're all striving for.
Right. Like at a certain age, we're supposed to clock out, step aside, and kind of fade into the background.
And Rabbi Lapin challenges that whole notion.
He does. He argues that this idea of retirement, at least as we typically view it, can be detrimental to our overall well-being.
Because it encourages disengagement.
Exactly. And he believes that continued engagement, purpose, and service are essential for human flourishing, regardless of age.
It's like those priests in the Bible who took on different roles as they got older. Their wisdom and experience still valued, just applied in new ways.
Right. It's a good reminder that our contributions might evolve over time, but they don't have to diminish. We can continue to find meaning and purpose in new and unexpected ways.
And that might look different for everyone. For some, it might be mentoring younger generations. For others, it could be starting that business they always dreamed of, or finally having time to pursue a passion.
Exactly. It's about finding what lights you up, what gives you that sense of purpose, and then going for it, regardless of age.
And avoiding that trap of isolation and inactivity that Rabbi Lapin associates with the traditional idea of retirement. He's a big advocate for staying connected, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Socially, intellectually, professionally, it's all important. And, you know, as we wrap up our deep dive into Rabbi Daniel Lapin's Business Secrets from the Bible, I'm struck by how interconnected everything is.
It is. It all comes back to those core principles we've been discussing. Connection, generosity, integrity, and a commitment to living a life of purpose and service.
And those are timeless principles, aren't they? Just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
Absolutely. And maybe by tapping into those ancient wisdom traditions, we can unlock a whole new level of success and fulfillment in our modern lives.
I think so, too. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise. Until next time.